Good evening, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to my evening news report right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. Caucus Day in Iowa. Here's everything you need to know. What you need to know. Caucus starts at 7 p.m. 18 years old by Election Day. Must be in line by 7 p.m. Free DART rides to precincts starting at 4 p.m. So, time in Iowa right now is 6:14 p.m. So, in just a little bit, they will be caucusing. Iowans will gather at their precinct locations Monday night to caucus for their preferred presidential candidate as part of the state's first-in-the-nation status in the presidential nominating process. One thing to keep in mind, the Iowa Democrat Party and the Republican Party of Iowa run their own respective caucuses. This isn't under the purview of the Iowa Secretary of State, and a caucus isn't the same as a primary. The Iowa caucuses start at 7 o'clock p.m. Right now in Iowa, it is 6:18 p.m. Anyone who will be 18 years old by Election Day, November 3rd, 2020, is eligible to caucus. Governor Reynolds announced last week that over 400 applicants to restore voting rights to convicted felons had been reviewed and approved. If you're not registered to vote, you can do so at your caucus site Monday. Participants must be registered voters of the party for which they caucus. Party affiliations can be changed following the caucuses. The candidates. For the Democrats, the following candidates are running for president. Let's look at that list. And those candidates are Colorado Senator Michael Bennet, former Vice President Joe Biden, former New York City Mayor Mike Bloomberg, former South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg, Hawaiian Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar, former Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, businessman Tom Steyer, Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren, and businessman Andrew Yang. And former Maryland Congressman John Delaney dropped out of the race just a few days before the caucuses. For the Republican list includes Donald Trump, former Illinois Congressman Joe Walsh, and former Massachusetts Governor Bill Weld. Where to caucus? To figure out where you can caucus, you'll first need to determine which party you will caucus for. For Democrats, visit this site and click Find Your Caucus Location, enter your home address, and your caucus location will come up. You will click on this blue link right here. We will share this link with you after the broadcast. For Republicans, you must know where your election day location to find your caucus site. So once you know your election day voting location, visit this website and click on the blue link here before finding your caucus site on the corresponding spreadsheet. Differences between the Republican and Democrat caucuses. Now that you have an idea of where your caucus is, the process itself varies between the two majority political parties. Democrats will gather at their caucus site and break up into preference groups for each candidate on the initial ballot or first expression of presidential preference. A candidate must reach 15% in order to be eligible. If a group is not eligible, they may stay undecided or join another candidate on the second ballot or for the final expression of the presidential preference. For Democrat satellite caucus locations that begins earlier than 7 p.m., you click here. Republicans, on the other hand, caucus by having people write a candidate's name on a blank piece of paper at their caucus site. How delegates are chosen. When people caucus for their candidate, it must go through multiple steps. A key element in delegates. Delegates are people selected who will represent a candidate at the party's presidential nominating convention. The more delegates you have, the more support you'll have at the convention. On the Democratic side, 41 pledge delegates are up for grabs in Iowa, 14 based on statewide vote, and 27 will be given out of Iowa's 4 congressional districts. Starting in 2016, Republican caucus in Iowa utilizing binding delegates, meaning individuals who are delegates are required to vote in proportion to the votes cast at the caucus site for that specific candidate. Free rides on caucus night. If there's an area of agreement among the political parties, it's making sure people can caucus. In a show of bipartisanship, both the Iowa Democrat Party and the Republican Party of Iowa are partnering with Des Moines Area Regional Transit, DART, to provide free transportation to each location on Monday. Starting at 4 p.m., DART will provide free rides on local express and on-call service. Free rides will be provided until the end of DART service. More information is available right here. What's next after Iowa? Iowa represents just the first step in the steps of the presidential field. Here is a list of what is after the Iowa caucus. The next is New Hampshire on February 11th. That is primary voting. And then after New Hampshire, February 22nd is Nevada. Then February 29th is South Carolina. March 3rd, Super Tuesday, Alabama, Alaska, California, Colorado, Maine, Massachusetts, Minnesota, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virginia. They all vote on Super Tuesday. On March 10th, Idaho, Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, North Dakota, and Washington vote. March 12th, Virginia, Virgin Islands vote. March 14th, Guam. March 17th, Arizona, Florida, Illinois, and Ohio vote. March 24th, Georgia. March 27th, North Dakota Republican Convention. March 29th, Puerto Rico, Democrat primary only. April 4th, Alaska, Hawaii, Louisiana, and Wyoming. April 7th, Wisconsin. April 28th, Connecticut, Delaware, Maryland, New York, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island. May 2nd, Guam. May 5th, Indiana. May 12th, Nebraska and West Virginia. May 19th, Kentucky and Oregon. June 2nd, Montana, New Jersey, New Mexico, South Dakota, and Washington, D.C. June 6th, the Virgin Islands. June 7th, Puerto Rico, Republican primary only. New Hampshire's first in the nation primary starts on February 11th. The last primary scheduled is for Puerto Rico, and that is just for Republicans. One thing to note, Alaska, Arizona, Hawaii, Kansas, Nevada, South Carolina, and Virginia have opted to cancel their Republican primaries, and their delegate votes are expected to go to President Donald Trump. Happy caucusing. And that does it for my evening news report right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and thank you for watching, and I'll be back with more news reports tomorrow. Good night and bye, everyone.